Pin Lamoshwet Kiamelakadav Kadosh Ata Baruch Ato Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please take as much time as you need to finish the Amida. For those who are finished, page 10, Kaddish Shalim.
Yiskadav Yiskadav Shemei Rabbah Yomada v'chuvasei v'yamos machusei b'chayich mechan b'chayich kol beis Yisrael ba'alav v'zmakorev imru amein v'hei Shemei Rabbah m'vorach l'olam yomei omaya Yisborach v'yishtabach v'yisboar v'yisman v'yisnasei Yisadav Yisalev Yisrael Shmei Kucha v'rechu El Makol B'chasav Shiras Otishpas V'nechamasa Damiram B'yamav Yimru Amein Tizkape Osalos Avos Nakol Beis Yisrael Kadam Avo Ondi Vishmaya V'imru Amein Yesh Lomara B'men Shemaya V'chayim Oleinu V'yakol Yisrael V'imru Amein Ose Shalom B'mromav Huya Ase Shalom Oleinu V'yakol Yisrael V'imru Amein.
Please rise for Aleinu on page 11.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, oseis gedulo liotze breshis, shelo asanu kukayei harotzos, velo samanu k'mishpachos adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kohem, v'gor oleinu k'chol amonam, אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שנות השמע יסוד. אוקיי, נקרא. Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed v'nema v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Bonus Kaddish is found on page 12. Yeah, please unmute if you'd like.
Amen.
Barak v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yishamad v'sanseh v'tadar v'talev v'shalosh mei kushua v'rihu v'yeh v'aliko birkuta v'shurata tush v'kata v'nefimata amiram v'yalmad v'mru amen v'hei sh'makalav v'min sh'mayot v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'mru amen.
Amen.
Shalom b'mamav v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'mru amen.
Amen.
Shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'yafo Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen.
Romav uyasa shalom aleinu v'yafo Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen.
I want to wish Yisher Koach to Charlie Adler. It's so nice to see Charlie on TV. Charlie Yisher Koach. Thank you for starting us off. Folks, we're going to proceed with our service. We're going to do candle lighting. And so many of you have prepared tonight with Chazan Shamash's attention and help for each and every one of you. But I just want to recognize the moment. So for the first time for many of us, we are singing together in the same space. It is incredible that the human brain can do what even the most updated version of Zoom cannot do, which is bring all the voices together at the same time and allow us to really be synchronized with each other. I just want us to just take one moment to just appreciate that, appreciate what it is for us, those of us who are together and those of us who are joining virtually are able to join with us and be part of this. And if you are so inclined, there is a blessing that we say that just expresses our gratitude to be alive in a moment that we do not want to take for granted. And that blessing, of course, is Shehachianu. So if you care to, whether this is your first time back together in person, whether you are with somebody who is back together in person, or whether you are just feeling the joy and the real blessing of this moment, please join me. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechayanu v'kimanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Candle lighting. Rabbi Schweber, are you lighting? Are we doing There are no candles to light, so the candle lighting is going to be a kind of an academic experience, and we are going to continue with Yadid Nefesh. I turn it back over to Seth Horowitz.
Page 12. 14, excuse me, page 14.
Abarachman Meshuch Avadeh El Retzon Rav Yarutz Avadeh Kemo Hayal Ishtachavel Mul Adarach Yeravelo Yediduta Minofefet Zuf Bechol Tav
Hadurna Ziv Ha'alon Nafshi Cholat Avatach Ano Elno Rifanala Biharot La Noam Zivach Az Tidchazer V'Tigrapeh V'Hayatolach Shivchat Olam
V'Tinu Rachamecha B'chushna B'noava Ki dekama Nifsof Nifsaf Lid B'Teret Uzach Ana Eli נחמד ליבי חושנה ואל תתעלם
Higaleno ufrosh aviv alai Sukkot sheloma Ta'ir eretz mikvotah Nagila v'nislecha Mahir ahu kivon oel v'choneni kiyimei olam Yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai 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 lai lai, yalla lai 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 lai lai. Na 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 na.
Page 15, the Chuna Ranana.
לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. נריע, נריע לצור אישנו, נקדמה פנה בתודה. נריע, נריע לצור אישנו, בזמירות נריע לו. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. ארבעים שנה אקוט בדור, ואומר עם טועה לבב הם, והם לא ידעו דרכי, אשר נשבעתי ואפי, אם יבואון אל מנוחתי.
Page 16.
Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Basru Miyom Liyom Yeshuato, Sapru Vagoyim Kevodot, Bechol Ha'amim Nivlota, Ki Gadol Adonai. Olam Meod, Norahu, Al Kol Elohim, Ki Kol Elohei Ha'amim Alilim, Adonai Shamayim Asa, Hod V'Hadar Lefanav, Oz V'Tiferet V'Miktasho, Habu Ladonai Mishbechot Habu Ladonai Kavod Va'od Habu Ladonai Kevod Shemo Selincha Uvol Echazrotav Shlachol Ladonai L'chara Kodesh Chilu Mikanav Kol Imru Agoyim Adonai Malach Atikron Tevel Ba'atimot Yanin Amin B'Mesharim Nisme Yehu Hashamayim v'toyel haaretz Yiram hayam Umelo Yalo Sadai V'kol asher bo Haranenu kol hatzeyah Lifnei Adonai Kima Lishpot haaretz Yishpot tevel b'tzedek Ve'yamim ve'emunato Lai 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 lai
Page 17.
Adonai malach togel oretz yishmechu im rabim. Ozaru ala tzadik ul yeshvei lev simcha. Simachu tzadakim b'Adonai v'hodu lezecher kodesho.
Page 18.
Mizmor Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash Ki Niflaot Asa Hoshia Lo Yiminu Uzero Akocho Hodi Adonai Yeshuato Le'enei Hagoyim Yiltzikato Zachar Chazdo Ve'emunato Liveit Yisrael Ra'u Kol Avsei Aretz Et Yeshuat Eloheinu Hariyu Adonai Kol Haaretz Pitzku V'ranenu V'zameru Zamru Adonai B'chinor V'kol Zimra B'chatzutrot v'kol shofar Hariyu lifnei hamelech Adonai Yiram hayam umelo Tevel v'yosheveva Naharot yimachachaf Yachad harim yiranenu Lifnei Adonai kiva Lishpot haaretz, Yishpot tevel b'tzedek, V'yamim b'meisharim, La 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 la
Page 19.
Adonai malach yirgezur amim Yoshev keruvim tanut haaretz. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, Vehishtahavu lehakodsho, Ki kadosh, Adonai Eloheinu, Mizmor leDavid.
Please rise, page 20.
Mizmor leDavid, Avul Adonai b'nei Eli, Avul Adonai kavod, Avul Adonai kevod shemo, Ishtachavu l'Adonai behadrat kodesh, Kol Adonai amayim, El kavod yirim almayim, almayim, almayim rabbi. Vay, Kol Adonai v'koach, Kol Adonai be'adar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, v'shaber Adonai tarze halvanot, v'yalkidem k'emo egel levanot, v'sirion k'mo Kol Adonai עוצר לבקש, כל Adonai יחיל מדבר, יחיל אדוני מדבר קדש, כל Adonai כל הילוך ויחסות יערות, הוא היכלו, הוא לא אומר כבוד, הוא לא אומר כבוד. אדוני למבול ישב וישב אדוני מלך לעולם, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך עמו בשלום.
You may be seated. Page 21.
Lecha dodi lihi krakala, Pene Shabbat nikabela, Shamur v'zachur b'dibur echad, Yishnianu el hamiyuchad Adonai echad, Ushmo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'litchila, Lecha dodi likra kala, Pene Shabbat nikabela, Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'machat Shabbat techila lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela Mikdash melech yir melucha kumitzei mitocha hafecha harav lach shevet v'yehe mekabacha v'hu yachamul alayichem la lecha dodi likratala pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Hitoreri me'afar kumi, leave shibigdei tifatechami, al yad ben yishai beit halachmi, korva el nafshi ge'ala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, Kiva Oreku Miori, Uri, Shir Daberi, Kevod Adonai Alaik Migla, Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pene Shabbat Nekabela, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pene Shabbat Nekabela, Lo Tebo Shive Lo Tikami, Ma Tishtochachi Umatehemi, Bach Yechesu Anieyami, Venivne Ta'ir Atila, Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pene Shabbat Nekabela, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pene Shabbat Nekabela.
V'hayu l'shim sa'asho sa'yich v'rachaku chomer v'alayich yasi salayich Elohayich kimsos chatan v'hakala Lai 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 lecha dodi Lai lai likrat kala Pene Shabbat Pene Shabbat nekabla Yaminu smoti frotzi ve'et Adonai ta'ritzi Al yadish ben parsi ben izmecha ve'nahagila Lai 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 lecha dodi Lai 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 likrat kala Lai 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 pene Shabbat Pene Shabbat nekabla
Please rise.
Boi v'shalom ateret balagam Besimcha u'betzola Toch emunei yam segula Boi chala Lai 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 lecha dodi Lai 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 likrat kala Lai 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 pene Shabbat Pene Shabbat nekabla Lai 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 lecha dodi Lai 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 pene Shabbat Lai 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 pene Shabbat Pene Shabbat nekabla.
You may be seated. We continue on page 23.
Mizmor Shir, Le'yom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir, Le'yom HaShabbat. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Ulezamer le'shimcha elyon. Tov lehodot l'Adonai.
Tzadika tamar yifrach, Erez balbanon yiskeh, Tzadika tamar yifachir, Erez bavanon yisker, Shitzulim beveit Adonai, Bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu, Shitzulim beveit Adonai, Bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu, Odinuvun b'seva, Tishanim veronanim yiyu, Odinuvun b'seva, Tishanim veronanim yiyu, V'hagid ki yashar Adonai, Suri v'lo avlatabo, V'hagid ki yashar Adonai, Suri v'lo avlatabo.
Page 24.
Adonai malaki ut lavesh, lavesh Adonai oti taza, aftikon tevel, kval timod, nakon kitzacha meyaz, me'olam atka, nasahut ne'arot Adonai, nasahut ne'arot kolam, yesut ne'arot dokiam.
Mikolot Maim, Maim Rabim, Adirim, Mishparei Yom, Adir B'marom Atonoi, Erotecha Nemenuma Levetecha Nava Kodesh Adonai Liorech 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 Yomim
Before we do the Mourner's Kaddish, I'd like to share a few thoughts. Many of you know that I had two recent losses just 1 week apart. First, my father, Paul Rothbaum, and then my brother, Stephen. Traditionally, we believe the recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish elevates the soul of the deceased, and it also gives the mourner the opportunity to praise God and articulate the value of life. For me, as part of as a daily participant of our minyan, saying Kaddish has created an important routine that I have benefited from. Being part of this community provides me with a measure of camaraderie and comfort while honoring both my father and my brother's memory. For those of you participating virtually, you may rise and unmute. Yikadal, Yikadash,
the love is mine for you, you amen. The hate may rabon of the lock, the lama man maya. The parak is Shabbat, the parag is man, I say, the Sadrag is Alay, the Salal, the Medical Job, and you. Yeah, the Amin, Albirkata, the Surata, the Kabanaka Maka, Amiran, the Almat, the new amen. Hey, Sama Rabon, Maya. Amen. Shalom b'mamo, shalom. Shalom v'yalkol Yisrael b'mu. Amen.
Amen. We'll now have some words of greeting and some words of Torah from the Men's Club co-president, Michael Becker.
Good evening. I did not take into account my glasses fogging up. I apologize if I have to stop because I can't see. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Men's Club Kabbalat Shabbat. Whether you're joining us via Zoom, hi Mom, I know you're out there, or here in person, we are thrilled that you could join us. What a true and genuine pleasure it is to be standing here with you again this evening. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our participants, including Sam Husney for coordinating the event, Jamie and the entire Temple Israel staff for everything that goes into setting up and producing an event like this, and our clergy for participating. And a special thank you to the newest Men's Club member, Chazan Shamash, for helping us prepare this evening. While it's been over 2 years since we've convened for this special event, it feels like only 2 minutes. How is it that 2 years of time feels like no time has passed at all? It's because over the 2 years, and particularly over the past 13 months, we never left one another's sides. I begin tonight where I ended my Devar Torah 2 years ago. I stated, I ask that you think about those individuals in our communities and around the world who are isolated or excluded, and how you can actively participate in their figurative or literal return home. In your own meaningful way, attempt to make those living outside the camp feel like they're inside the camp. You'll be pleasantly surprised how far the littlest action can go in someone else's life. We're so very fortunate to currently be on the inside in this warm room together as a loving and caring congregation. Life is unpredictable. And if we find ourselves on the outside looking in, I truly hope and pray that we all find someone on the other side with a helping hand, a sympathetic ear, and a guiding voice to bring us inside the camp. When I read through my notes, these lines resonated with me more now than ever before. Over the past 13 months, how many of you felt like you were on the outside looking in? Trapped in your home, your life turned upside down, with very little to keep us grounded and connected to reality. Rabbi Schreiber, Ezra, and I often reminisce about Saturday night, March 7th, 2020, or as we call it, that last night. We organized Temple Israel's very fun, 48 hours before the wheels came off, pub trivia night. We had our mothers there. We created witty team names like the COVIDiots and Purelled our hands to stay safe. We knew the virus was in the New York area, but it was in Westchester, not Great Neck, so we were good, right? We had no idea that the virus's logarithmic growth rate meant that 2 days later, we would begin to lock down and our lives would change dramatically for what will be years to come. Our plans for the 2020 Men's Club Shabbat quickly went up in smoke. And at that point, we weren't sure when we would all see one another again, at least in person. The clergy, staff, and lay leader community sprung into action, ensuring that every member of our congregation felt connected. Anyone who was isolated or feeling excluded had a place with us. Zoom services were spun and scaled up rapidly. An Easy Pick grocery service was launched, and check-in calls were made to every Temple Israel member. The Temple Israel community at large stayed connected. We provided a helping hand, a sympathetic ear, and a guiding voice. And our men's club did the same. Our annual Scotch and Seder quickly pivoted to a virtual event, and by June, we were back in the swing of things with a lively virtual beer tasting, the highlight of which was beer pickup, the first time in months that many of us had seen one another. A Monday evening, Rabbi Schreiber, Ezra, and I went to play golf. You notice the theme there? I asked Rabbi Schreiber to remind me which parsha we had this weekend, and he told me there's two, Achremot and Kedoshim. In my head, I laughed and thought, this guy is hilarious. 2 parshas? What a kidder. He knows I'm going to write this Devar Torah on Thursday night, and he wants me to sweat a bit. When I returned home, I Googled the parsha, and what I found was not 1, but 2 parshas, Achremot and Kedoshim. In the Torah portion, Achremot, God speaks to Moses after the death of Aaron's 2 sons, who were killed for coming too close to the presence of God. God instructs Moses and Aaron on the procedures surrounding Yom Kippur. God also describes all the laws surrounding all sorts of prohibitions in our lives. In Kedoshim, God describes to Moses many ethical and ritual laws aimed at helping people live lives of holiness. The laws described include some of those recorded in the 10 Commandments, such as respecting one's parents, keeping the Sabbath, and not stealing. The readings were fascinating, and I thought deeply on how to tie together all these topics this evening. I said to my wife, maybe I should entitle the Devar Torah 2020, 365 days of Yom Kippur, to which I received a resounding thumbs down. So I went back to reading, and then there it was, Leviticus 19:18, the commandment to love your neighbor as yourself. Is this not the essence of what we, the Temple Israel community, have been doing for the past 13 months? A helping hand, a sympathetic ear, a guiding voice, spiritual fulfillment. While this week's Torah portion focuses on laws and ritual, it also possesses an overwhelming focus on holiness and creating a society that is based on justice and compassion. A society where no one is left behind and every individual accountable to God and to each other. Rabbi Akiba, a great sage, said the commandment to love your neighbor as yourself is the most important commandment in the entire Torah. Chacham Yosef Chaim, known as Ben Ishchai, was a highly revered Iraqi Torah scholar and master of Kabbalah. Ben Ishchai writes that given its centrality to the Torah, a very significant part of the love your neighbor as yourself mitzvah is overlooked by many people. He writes that while many people recognize how it requires a person to help his fellow in terms of his physical well-being, they are less aware that it also obliges him to help his fellow's spiritual health. Indeed, he argues that helping his friend in the spiritual realm is a far greater fulfillment of the mitzvah than benefiting him in the physical realm. I'm proud to say the Men's Club played its role over the past year for ourselves, our friends, and our neighbors. Tonight's event marks the Men's Club 20th interaction with the community since our trivia night on March 7th, 2020, that last night. 20 unique and differentiated opportunities to provide friends and neighbors with a helping hand, a sympathetic ear, a guiding voice, a connection, or spiritual fulfillment. Dr. Adler ensured that our incredibly important blood drive continued forward, as well as the worldwide wrap. Josh Cherry shared his 9/11 story. Ron Klempner told us about Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur 2020 in the NBA bubble. Dave Scher, who does yeoman's work with the Federation of Jewish Men's Clubs, spearheaded our annual Hatzilu Hanukkah appeal and the Yom HaShoah Candle Initiative. And we've had some really fun and fantastic vodka latke and Scotch and Seder events thanks to Ezra Kassin, Mark Langsner, Howard Spun, the clergy, and many others. I'm still burping up Ezra's pickle vodka. We sponsored virtual first and second Seder. We sponsored first and second night virtual Passover Seders, learned how Jewish gangsters supported the Jewish resistance in World War II, and even raised $1,400 for Hatzilu during our Super Bowl festivities. We spent the year loving our neighbors as much as we loved ourselves. Yasher Koach. I leave you with one final thought on this week's Parsha as it relates to our path towards holiness. God tells Moses to speak to the Israelites and say, Kadoshim tehiyu ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. You shall be holy, for I, the eternal your God, am holy. What does it mean to be holy? Many interpretations believe the Torah is telling us that it means to follow all our rules, even if they are not always easy to observe. Rashi explains that the term holy implies self-restraint. He says because there are many temptations in life, to be holy means to have the ability to control one's immediate impulses. I don't think Rashi felt the daily stress of navigating an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old who are stuck at home through a global pandemic. While I strive to become more holy by following the commandments set forth in this week's Parsha, admittedly the journey at times has been difficult. This week, said two young children frustrated me to a point where I couldn't control the impulse. And in the briefest of moments, I went from holy to unholy and said something very hurtful. It was a painful setback on my personal journey towards holiness. I share this story with you because in the past year, the Men's Club has been a good neighbor to me. Within the Men's Club and its members, I consistently found a helping hand, a sympathetic ear, a guiding voice, and spiritual fulfillment. Within the Men's Club and its activities, I found a way to continually move forward on my journey, despite the occasional setback or failure. This has been welcome and greatly appreciated, particularly during these difficult and incredibly stressful times. In the coming year, I pray that we all continue moving forward on the journey to holiness, together at one another's sides, as we have been this entire time. Shabbat Shalom.
Yasher Koach, Michael. We now begin the Ma'ariv service. Please rise on page 28 for the Baruch.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorach. Baruch Adonai Borach Le'olam Ba'ed.
You may be seated.
Umavir Yom Uvein Mevi Laila. Mavdil Ben Yom Uvein Laila. Adonai Tzevaot Shemo. El Chai V'Kayam. Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Ba'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Hamaariv Aravim.
Page 29. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, B'shofreinu v'kumeinu, Nasiach b'chukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, U'v'mitzvotecha, Ve'olam va'ed. Ki heim chayenu v'orech yameinu v'orech yameinu. Uvahem nege yomam v'alayla, yomam v'alayla.
V'ahavatacha al tasir mimenu li'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Page 30.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ata et Adonai Elecha, v'kol v'decha, v'hayu haverim a'er, asher nasim atav, hayom al v'decha, v'shenatan v'lecha, v'debabam, v'shekol v'decha, v'recha, v'shekol v'lemecha, Ushatan Lepenecha, Alut Lepenecha, Ushatan, Amudu Besecha, Uisharecha. And Hashem.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Page 32.
U'malchuto b'ratzon kiblu alehem Moshe u'bnei Yisrael achanu shira v'simcha rabba v'yamaruhu kulam Mi kamocha v'elim Adonai Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh norati lot Osef melech Malchutecha robanecha Ukayam lifnei Moshe Ze Eliyanu v'yamaru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed V'ne'emar ki paranai Yaakov Ugalam yad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Goal Yisrael. Rosalenu sukat shalomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Apore sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim.
Page 34, please rise.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. B'nei uvein b'nei Yisrael oti liolam, oti liolam. Oti liolam vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim et haaretz vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i shavad v'inafash, shavad v'inafash, shavad v'inafash v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Yomad divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon u'byom echon. Uchayech l'chol beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala. Ubizman ka'aviv. V'imeru amen. Yesh me'rabba mevorach. Le'olam ulal me'amaya yitbarach, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yithar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, shmei d'kudesha prichu, leila, min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, la'mihiram ve'alma, Amen.
The silent Ma'ariv Amida is found on pages 35A or B through 38. Please take your time finishing the Amida. When you have finished, turn to page 47 for Vayechulu.
Vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzva'a v'chol ha'elohim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asaha וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי וקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Konei Hashamayim, Va'aretz.
You may be seated.
Morgen avod bevaro, Mekaye mesim b'mamaro, Oel hakadosh she'ein kamohu, Hameniach le'amo, V'yom Shabbos kodsho, Kivo rotzo le'akniah lohem, Kivo rotzo le'akniah lohem, V'fono navod, v'ira v'fachid, v'no le'lishmo b'kol yom tamid, v'yein habron El ha'odod, Adon ha'sholom, Mekadesh ha'shabbat, Umberek shvi, Meiniach b'dusha, V'yamdei dushnei oneg, Zeicher, V'masei bereshit.
Page 48.
Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu, Ritzei b'mnuchateinu. Kadeshenu v'mitzvotecha, v'ten chalkeinu v'toratecha. Kadeshenu v'mitzvotecha, v'samachenu b'shnuatecha. B'taher libeinu b'taher, B'taher libeinu b'taher, B'taher libeinu li'avdecha be'emet. B'taher libeinu b'taher, B'taher libeinu li'avdecha be'emet. V'hanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu, V'yavo ratzon Shabbat kodshecha, V'yanuchu bo Yisrael, Kadeshei shemecha, V'yanuchu bo Yisrael, Kadeshei shemecha.
Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma dibra kirutei v'lich malchutei, v'chaychonim yimechon v'chay dechol beit Israel, Hagalaz man karihi v'emru. Amen. Yeshmei Rabbah mevorach, ve'olam ulal me'omaya yitparach. Yitparach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitramah v'yitnaseh, Yadadar v'yadalev v'yadalal shmei dekudesha, Rechu, ve'ela mikol bechata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, Tamiran be'alma v'emru. Amen. Kabbalat sloton ovon dechol Yisrael, Kadam ovon dibishmaya v'emru. Amen. Yehei shlom rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'emru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'rmama v'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'himeru. Amen.
Please rise on page 51, the Aleinu.
Aleinu sabeach ladon hakol, Oseis gedulach, Gotzer breshis,
Shelo Asanu Pigavye Havratzos, Velo Somonu Kimishpachos Odomo, Shelo Som Chelkenu Kohen, Vigorolenu Kifo Hamonam, Vanaknu Korim, Mishratavim, Ulodim, Bifnei Melech, Malkei Hamlokim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Notei Shamayim V'Yoser Oretz, U'Moshe Dekaro B'Shamayim Mimal, U'Shli Nasuzo, U'Shli Nasuzo, V'Go V'Meramim, Hu Eloheinu Ein Od, Emes Malkeinu Efezulaso, Kakosu Vaso Rohaso, Yadata Hayom, Elevaha, Ki Adonai, Hu Elohim, Hashamayim Imal, Vial Horetz, Mitachas Ein Od, Ein Od.
For those of you,
V'nemar v'hoya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
for those of you participating virtually, you may unmute and stand for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yikadal v'yikadash Shmei Rabbah. Yamad Tigray Philippine, Yami Fakate, Hayafano Yunifon, Isaiah Before Beit Israel, Azala Usman Kareev, Yere Amen, Yehei Shmei Rabba Mizrach, Yoram and Yeremiah, Yisrafi, Shabbat, Yisrael, Yisrael, Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Mermav. Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Yisrael.
Amen. Everybody may be seated wherever you may happen to be. We're going to conclude in a few moments. I thought of putting the word gratitude here because I know that I'm not the only one who is feeling it. I want to just take the opportunity to express it, the fact that we are all here, everybody who participated so beautifully, some of you bringing tunes from your childhood, some of you offering tunes that you recently learned, some of you starting with a tune from your childhood and ending up with a tune that surprised even you. The point is that it's a blessing for us to be together. It really is. And I know we don't take it for granted, but I think after the year that we've all endured separately together, we really don't take for granted the blessing of being together. So I want to offer gratitude for that. And I also want to offer gratitude to Sam Husney and Mark Langsner, who really were the mainstays of coordinating this evening. And also to our remarkable men's club co-chairs, Michael Becker and Ezra Casson, who have brought incredible vibrancy and creativity. And truly, the men's club, they are just instrumental in bringing us together and in keeping us together in every sense of that phrase. So gentlemen, thank you. And halavai weiter, as they say. Hopefully we will continue together for many, many years to come. We are going to be concluding. What is next, Mr. Horowitz?
Adon Olam on page 54.
Adon Olam on page 54. And we have summoned the one and only Mark Birnbaum, who has been charged with the sacred task of leading us in Adon Olam. Mark?
Adon Olam
Asher
Asher
Malach
Malach V'terem Kol Yitzim Nivra
Le'et
Le'et
Na'asa
Na'asa
V'Chetzo
Kol
Azai Melech Shemo Nivra Ve'acharei Kiflos HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Vehu Haya Vehu Hoveh Vehu Yihya B'Tiv Hara Vehu Echad Ve'Yetzeni Lehamshilo Lehapira
Koli Reishi Koli Sakli Velo V'Misra Vehu Eli V'Haigo Ali Ketor Hevli B'Etzara V'Huniti Umanuli Minakosi B'Yom Ekra V'Yada Avkid Ruhi V'Ekdishan V'Ayira Ruhi Gaviyati Adonai Li
I want to thank Mark Birnbaum for that stirring rendition of Adon Olam. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to rise for the counting of the Omer, marking the period in between Passover, our freedom, and Shavuot, our covenant with our Creator. And it is found on page 55. Chazan Shamash will recite the blessing and then count the appropriate count for tonight.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kireshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu הספירת העומר.
אמן.
היום 27 יום שהם 3 שבועות ו6 ימים לעומר.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על ספירת העומר. היום 27 יום שהם 3 שבועות ו6 ימים לעומר. We've counted 27 days of the Omer, and now Kiddush, which will be brought to us
from the Bardash home.
From the Bardash home, yes.
Page 49.
49, thank you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav tzavanu b'shabbat kadsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maseh Bereshit ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim ki vanu v'achar utanu b'kash mikol amin Shabbat Yava Uvratzon Incaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh Shabbat.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Before we we're going to be going over there.
Great.
We got a little scotch, and everybody can have a very small amount because you're driving. But we do have it over there. But before that, Sam and I want to thank
immensely to thank Chazan Shamash for all the group rehearsals that we had. He's only been here, I think, about 3.5 months. He did a wonderful job in training us. And on a personal note, I was very happy that he was willing to do individual training also to help me get through page 24. So with that said, we'd like to present this to you. You're almost finished working tonight and go home and be a family and enjoy the. Thank you all for coming tonight. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Yashir Kochachem. Very well done.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Giancarlo Stanton.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
You can talk to them. Say Shabbat shalom. Okay, leave.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
He'd like to talk to the cantor.
It's wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go downstairs.
He said, he wouldn't be on here.
That's over there, attentive.
Okay, Lisa, you ready?
Lisa? No, I think
What, darling?
Thank you so much. So rich. I love your baritone. Yeah, you actually have like the deepest. So nice. Not that we should compare. Good job.
Okay.
Did you save it? Do you remember Dave?
We just say Shabbat shalom and
Yeah,
close shop.
and close up.
We'll wait until somebody leaves.
I'm trying to give it away. My son and my I need to rest. And I have to hit the ground. We have stuff in there. Like a climax with the concert and all the food. So all these things. I was trying to get there and I got stuck in the city. My rating on it was like I think I get so much better, but I think that considering that we put it together in that night. The instrumental, to be honest, 81 years old. All these kind of locked up. We're pushing, but we're getting it. You earned your system. Oh, yeah. We'll walk into the rest.
Please, they're presenting food. Those who can be there.
You want to have a drink together?
There we go. Okay, show's over.
Leave.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.